Hello, welcome to another weekly update. I really hope you're well. It's been a busy week, so let's go through some things. A couple of things that don't have links but are worth talking through. So the first of those is I put some work into my blog this past week. Basically, I try and avoid changing my blog as much as possible, apart from the actual blog posts. I'm a developer, so I like to tinker with things, and if I didn't consciously stop myself, I would spend the whole time that I had. I would spend all my free time working on making the blog look nice, making it perform really well, changing the layout, changing the code, optimizing all this sort of stuff, right? But not actually producing content for the blog. So I think that's a massive trap that people fall into as well when they're blogging or when they're starting out or whatever. They put all the effort into the thing itself and not the content. And obviously the thing itself has to look okay, it needs to look reasonable and it needs to be performant and good. But actually the content is the content's the thing, right? The content's the thing that's really important. And so I try and consciously stop myself doing that and as much as possible focus on the content of what my writing rather than how it looks and stuff. And that is fine most of the time, but a blog is a piece of software and it does need kind of care and attention every now and again. And I try and keep up with all the updates. It's not like it's insecure. I keep up with the security updates and all that sort of stuff. But occasionally I have to spend a bit more time than normal, just kind of doing stuff with it. And this blog is over 10 years old now. And it's been on the same code base. It's been WordPress the whole 10 years. It's been WordPress non-hosted. Sorry. That's what happens when you have a biscuit just before starting. It's been WordPress the whole way through, but I've been hosting it. It's not been WordPress hosted, so it's all on me to figure it out. And and over 10 years, code gets old and code gets unoptimized, and there's lots of overhead and there's lots of cruft and stuff that shouldn't really be there and all the rest of it. And that's sort of the reality. And I try and ignore it as much as I can, but every now and again, I have to go and do some maintenance work. And this was one of those times. Google, Webmaster Tools, was shouting at me. Everything was red because the mobile experience was poor and it was taking a long time to load pages and all the rest of it. So I spent a couple of hours, more than a couple of hours actually. It's probably this is the problem with optimizing stuff and just messing around with web pages. You lose so much time so quickly. I probably spent 6 hours, something like that, over the course of last weekend. But dealing with things like inlining, critical CSS, what else? Some caching stuff, some other things, bits and pieces. But basically, the aim was to really get the responsiveness down, get these buzzwords that I've now learnt about: longest content paint, first content paint, all these things. Try and get them down. I'm not going to blog about it because there's so many other people that have previously blogged about this stuff, and there's loads of resources online. Google has loads. I use GT metrics as a good way of analyzing performance, and that's got loads of hints and tips as well. But anyway, I think I've got it down again. I think the site is responsive again. I'm hoping Google is happy again. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, that's where I spent quite a lot of my time. So hopefully you see a performance boost on the blog. If you see anything that's really odd, that really stands out, if things are missing, images are broken, there was quite a long time when the menus were broken for a bit over the last weekend. So shout if you see those things, and I'll try and fix them up. So that was one thing I did this week. The other thing, actually, I spent some time looking at was sound quality. So I'm hoping that you think that the sound quality on this video is better than previous weekly updates. All of the physical equipment is the same. So I use a Blue Yeti microphone, kindly donated by Mark Vale. And I've been using that for all the weekly updates. But it's only in the last week that I've managed to get to something that's been on my list for a little while, but I've kind of been ignoring, which is that I've vaguely been aware that there is stuff that you're supposed to do to your audio, either post-processing or, as it's coming into your computer. I don't have a preamp. I don't have any kind of mixer or anything kind of hardware. This Blue Yeti plugs directly into the computer via USB. and I wasn't doing anything with it other than just kind of using it as is. I've since changed that, and there's a whole load of stuff in OBS, it turns out, to make your audio quality better, and I use OBS for all the recordings. I try and use it as much as possible now and do as little post record edit as possible. Like it's a kind of like a productivity hack for me. If I can produce videos that don't need editing, I produce more videos and more often, because it's the editing that takes all the time and I don't have that time. So that's my like personal productivity hack, is to use OBS as much as possible to edit the videos on the fly. And so a part of that is, can I build the audio processing into that flow? Turns out I can. Some really good resources that I was not aware of. I'm going to write a blog post about it actually, because there's 2 videos in particular that were super, super useful. I hope you like this new kind of sound output. I should probably try and see if I could do it before and after. I probably can do it before and after actually, because I've learned so much about OBS. So let's try this then. Okay, so this is how it sounded last week. Probably, I think, more or less. This is how it sounded last week, with it directly kind of unaltered, if you like, straight into OBS. And I've since done a bunch of things to improve the sound. And now it sounds like this. So hopefully you'll agree that's better. So anyway, let's talk about what's been happening this week in the world of Microsoft Teams and the world of development. And actually, before we do that, let's talk about something that's happened the past couple of days that draws us back a little bit, a few years, to Skype for Business Online. And so this week, there was a blog post that came out about Skype for Business Online, and it was about some migration guidance for IT admins. Basically, if you haven't yet moved, then Microsoft are going to help you move with some Microsoft-assisted upgrades. What that blog post didn't talk about at all was any kind of ancillary applications, so third-party applications that might have been built or that you might have bought and be running in your Skype for Business Online environment. So I wanted to address those with a blog post, just so developers were reminded that if they have applications or they have solutions that are using or relying on technology that works in Skype for Business Online, and they're going to move to Teams, that technology may not necessarily work with Teams in the same way that it does with Skype for Business Online. So that's a blog post I put out. It kind of goes through what won't work and what will work, and the new things that you can do that you couldn't previously do. And it kind of concludes with, really, if you're a developer for an organization, or you have your own tenant or whatever else it is that is on Skype for Business Online, and you have applications running right now, you need to review those, because in all likelihood they are not going to work when you go to Teams. And your options really right now are to go to Teams or to go to Skype for Business on-premise. If you go to Skype for Business on-premise, probably most of your applications that you have that are running in Skype for Business Online probably will work okay. I'm just trying to think it through. Yeah, they probably will work okay. But if you're going to Teams, there will be things that definitely don't work. So it's good to understand those before it happens. And Skype for Business Online is going away July 31st. So you do have some kind of ticking clock, really, to think about getting those things sorted. Okay, next thing to talk about, Office add-ins and the Office add-in runtime. This is a bit of a black box to me. It's not something I'm super comfortable talking about, because I don't understand it really, really well. And this is a really good blog post for me, actually, because it really nicely breaks down all of the different runtimes that there are across different platforms, and why it's so complicated, but also what Microsoft are doing right now to make it more simple and make it easier. And what WebView 2 is, because I was not really kind of completely up to speed with what Web 2, I'd heard of it, but I didn't really understand how important it was to writing add-ons. I didn't realize it had been around since 2020 already, so October 2020, which is when Microsoft released it. So it's going to become like the standard, if you like, and it's going to be installed everywhere. It's being rolled out, and so this is worth looking through. If you do Office add-ins, if you write them, then you probably will want to look through this and make sure you understand it. You probably understand it better than I do right now. Let me just share my screen so you can see it. So this is the blog post. I'll put a link to it in the notes as well. But it goes through some really good detail about, into sort of fairly low level detail about what's going on, how to see whether it's installed and you're using it, how to tell what kind of add-in you're currently using as well, and then some stuff about using it on Mac and all the rest of it. So yeah, this is kind of here, this is coming. So definitely if you create Office add-ins, you will want to look at this. Okay. So coming up this week, it's going to be a really busy week this week for events. So events are starting. This is, event season is upon us. We've had like the Ignite one. We've got Build at the end of the month. And in between that, we've got some events happening next week. So let me talk through those. So the first one is on May the 11th, which is next Tuesday. And it's a Commsverse event. It's being done kind of with, in kind of partnership with UC Today. And it's a one-day event called End-to-End Voice in Microsoft Teams. It's free to register, free to attend, and it's quite a short thing. It's from 12 p.m. This is BST, so UK time, so GMT +1. So 12 p.m. till 3:30. So it's only 3.5 hours out of your day. It's not like an all-day thing. You can definitely kind of get this into your calendar. And one day is 6 speakers. I'm one of them, but it goes through loads of stuff about voice. So it's called End-to-End Voice in Microsoft Teams. I'm going to be talking about Azure Communication Services and how that fits into the Microsoft Teams voice story, specifically around interop. So I'm going to talk through what you can do. So yeah, if that sounds good to you, if that sounds interesting, then I'll put a link to the registration so you can register and hear me talk about Azure Communication Services, and specifically for this one, what you can do when it comes to Microsoft Teams Voice and how that sort of capabilities inside Azure Communication Services work with what's in Microsoft Teams Voice. Cool. The other thing that's happening this week is TeamsNation. So this is another community conference happening on the 12th of May. This is next Wednesday. So this is an all-day event, and there are loads and loads of sessions for this. There's like 7 different tracks. There's like 60 different sessions. It kind of goes on all day. There's an after party in the evening. There's lots and lots happening. So if that sounds interesting, you should definitely go and register if you haven't already. Again, completely free, completely community driven. It's really good actually that we have all these different resources. We have multiple conferences, community-led conferences, free to attend. It's a really good indication, if you like, of the strength of the community we have here. So it's a really good thing. So don't miss out is what I'm trying to say, because there's really good knowledge here. There's a whole group of speakers who have been penned up inside all winter and can't get out to conference centres to speak. And so they are ready to kind of impart their thoughts and just what they want to be listened to, because speakers like to be listened to. So they're going to be around at all these conference events that are happening online. So make the most of them because they're free to attend. They're easy. There's no travel. There's no hotel bills. So absolutely make the most of this this sort of speaker talent that is out there. I'm going to be talking about Azure Communication Services on this one as well, slightly differently and with more demos because it's a longer session. If that sounds interesting as well, you can also register there. I would also go and look through the other sessions as well for both of these events, because there's lots and lots and lots of things happening. So if you care at all about Microsoft Teams, or if you care about anything, not just the platform development side of things, but everything to do with Microsoft Teams, both of those conferences are definitely worth your time and attention. All right, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about this week. Like I said, it's been a kind of a busy one. Some kind of stuff I've been working on, for like the blog and stuff like that. Felt like hasn't really had a lot of output. There's some other things I'm working on that I'm going to try and bring a blog and video to soon. And like I say, I'm going to write up this the things I did to the audio to make the audio sound better, in case that's useful to everyone else. Because I know there's been lots of people who are now using OBS for presentations as well. Lots of speakers using OBS to give presentations and stuff. So I figure something on doing the audio might be quite useful. Right, I think that's everything from me. Yeah, I'm going to go and start my weekend, I think. Whatever it is you're doing, have a great one, and stay safe, take care, and I will see you at either Commsverse on Tuesday or TeamsNation on Wednesday, or failing both of those things, next Friday for another weekly update. Thanks a lot.